Welcome back to the deep dive. Usually we're here stripping down complex business strategies, maybe looking at the latest tech breakthroughs or dissecting a dense piece of
We
history.
like logic. We like facts.
We do. But
Yeah.
today we are taking a hard left turn off the main road. We are driving straight into the intersection of celebrity culture, tragic history, and, well, stay with me here, the paranormal.
It is definitely a departure from our usual spreadsheet analysis, isn't it? But
Oh,
when we dug into this compilation from Memory Lane, specifically this report they titled 11 Ghosts of Black Celebrities That Actually Existed, it became clear pretty quickly that this wasn't just a collection of campfire stories.
right. I have to admit, when I first saw that title on our stack, my skepticism radar went off immediately. I thought, okay,
Right.
are we doing urban legends today?
How do you
But
that?
the way this material frames these accounts, it's less about jump scares and generic spooks and more about this concept of unfinished business.
That is the key phrase right there. The central thesis of this deep dive isn't necessarily to, convince you that ghosts are scientifically proven. It's to look at a pattern.
A pattern.
The source suggests that when you have these violent, sudden, or unjust deaths of massive cultural icons, it creates a specific kind of narrative energy. It's like they were so large in life, their abrupt departure left a vacuum that reality itself is trying to fill.
Which is a fascinating, if slightly unsettling, way to look at fame.
Mm.
So we're going to walk through the three distinct patterns the research identified: the loop of tragedy, the eternal performers, and the search for justice.
And we're starting with maybe the most famous unfinished story in music history.
Tupac Shakur.
To really get this one, you have to understand the setting. We're in Las Vegas, specifically the intersection of Cova Lane and Flamingo Road. Now, if you've been to Vegas, you know the vibe.
Oh, yeah. It's neon, it's noise, it's 24/7 sensory overload. It's never truly dark.
Exactly. So if someone tells me they saw something weird in Vegas, I usually assume it's just the atmosphere or maybe one too many drinks.
That's a fair assumption.
But the report highlights something different here. It focuses on the dead hours, around 3 a.m., and the source describes the air at a specific intersection not as chaotic, but as having a heavy stillness.
And the witnesses aren't tourists stumbling out of a club.
No, that's the thing. They are the night shift workers, taxi drivers, casino staff people who know the rhythm of that street better than anyone.
That adds a layer of credibility, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If a taxi driver who has seen everything says something is off, I listen. So what are they seeing?
They report seeing a man standing near the site of the 1996 shooting. But it's the details that matter.
Okay.
He isn't wearing generic streetwear. The witnesses, independently, describe him wearing a pristine white suit.
Wow, which is a massive detail because that connects directly to his art, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. That's the exact outfit Tupac wore in the I Ain't Mad at Cha music video, where, eerily enough, he portrays an angel in the afterlife.
That gives me chills. It's almost as if the memory of him is manifesting in the image he crafted for his own death.
And what's he doing?
Right. Is he interacting with people?
No, and that's the creepy part. He's described as having hollow eyes. He just stands there watching the traffic flow by, completely silent. And the moment headlights sweep over him,
He's gone.
he vanishes. Like a glitch in a video game.
So is it just an image? A recording?
Well, in parapsychology, they'd often call that a residual haunting. It's like a tape playing back on the environment. It doesn't know you're there. But the investigation notes mention audio evidence that suggests something. Aware. Paranormal investigators claim to have captured an EVP at the site. Now, for those listeners who aren't deep into ghost hunting tech, EVP is electronic voice phenomenon.
Basically, you use a digital recorder to pick up frequencies the human ear can't catch.
You play it back, and amidst the wind and the distant traffic noise of Vegas, they found something.
What was it?
They isolated a deep, urgent voice whispering just one word: run.
Run. Okay, that is terrifying. How do we interpret that? Is he reliving the shooting?
Two theories are presented. One, it's a time loop. He's stuck in those final chaotic seconds, yelling at his driver to get them out of there. Two, and this is maybe darker, it's a warning. A signal to the living that the energy of that unsolved murder is still dangerous. The case isn't closed, so the energy isn't settled.
That concept of being stuck in the violence of the moment. It transitions us perfectly, or I guess tragically, to Sam Cooke.
Yes.
Because his story follows that same pattern of sudden violence, but the energy seems completely different.
Very different. We're going back to 1964, Los Angeles. The Hacienda Motel. Sam Cooke was one of the smoothest, most composed voices in history, but his death was chaos.
Shot by the motel manager.
Shot through the heart. And the source emphasizes the indignity of it. He was found wearing nothing but a sport coat and one shoe, a messy, ugly end to a beautiful life.
And while Tupac's ghost is described as silent and still, the reports regarding Sam Cooke are just frantic.
Yes. Residents near the old site, it's not the hacienda anymore, but the location remains. They report seeing a figure, semi-naked, wearing that sport coat. But he's not just standing there. He's running through the shadows. He's pounding on invisible doors. It's pure kinetic panic.
And there's audio again. But not a whisper on a recorder?
No, this is audible to the naked ear. Neighbors have reported hearing the sound of a gunshot at 3 a.m., that witching hour again, followed by a very specific cry.
Lady, you shot me.
Which were his actual final words. It's a literal replay.
It's like the sheer emotional force of that moment, the shock and the pain, it left what the source calls a psychic scar on the location.
Exactly. Unlike Tupac, who seems to be standing guard, Sam Cooke's energy seems trapped in the trauma. He's stuck in the worst moment of his life.
It really makes you wonder about the mindset at the moment of death. Does confusion lock you in place? Because that leads us to Lisa Left Eye Lopes.
Yes.
This story, honestly, this one felt the most psychological to me. Less a ghost story, more just a tragedy.
It is the heaviest in terms of premonition. We're in April 2002, Honduras. Lisa was there for a spiritual retreat, trying to get away from the noise.
Right.
The source details something fascinating. Weeks before the car crash that killed her, she told people she felt hunted. She didn't see a spirit, but she felt this heavy shadow following her.
And then there was that horrific coincidence with the vehicle she was in.
Right. Before her own fatal accident, the vehicle she was in struck a local boy. The boy's last name was Lopez.
The same last name, Lopes and Lopez.
She was reportedly terrified. She thought the shadow hunting her had made some kind of clerical error, that it took the wrong Lopez, and that she was supposed to be next. Her final days were spent in this state of heightened existential fear.
So when her Mitsubishi Montero actually flipped in the jungle days later, the source argues her spirit didn't even realize what had happened.
That's the theory. Because it was so sudden, locals describe seeing a faint feminine silhouette wandering the brush near the crash site.
But she's not panicked like Sam Cooke.
No, she's described as confused. She appears to be searching for her friends who survived the crash, or just looking for a way out of the tree line.
That is just heartbreaking. It's not a scary ghost story. It's a spirit that's just lost.
It frames the haunting as a state of disorientation. If you die while you're already afraid and confused, does that emotion just persist? The source seems to think so. She's stuck trying to find her way home.
Okay, I think I need to step away from the heavy tragedy for a second, because the next category the source dives into is the show must go on.
Yes.
And honestly, these are the ones that made me smile a bit, even if they are spooky.
These are the performers who simply refuse to leave the stage. The dedication to the craft, it seems, transcends the physical body, and we have to start with the ultimate entertainer, Sammy Davis Jr.
The Friars Club, New York City,
Right.
legendary ground. The report jumps to 2009, long after Sammy passed. The club is locked up, it's empty, but the security cameras are rolling.
And on the monitor, security sees movement on the stage, a slender silhouette. And the description is incredibly specific. The figure appeared to be holding a cigarette and chewing gum.
Sammy's trademarks. But for me, the visual could be a trick of the light, Shadows play tricks. It's the audio that sells this one.
You can't fake this. The microphones in the room picked up sound, not footsteps, tap dancing.
Oh, come on.
The distinct, high-speed, metallic click-clack of a complex routine on a wooden floor.
While the camera showed a completely empty floor.
Completely empty. It suggests that for someone like Sammy, the performance wasn't a job. It was his state of being. Death didn't stop the routine. It just made the dancer invisible.
We see a similar master of the house kind of energy with Michael Jackson. But this wasn't on some security tape in a basement. This was on CNN.
Live television. Larry King Live. July 2009, just a week after Michael passed away. They're doing a tour of Neverland Ranch, and the camera pans across a hallway near the fireplace.
I remember seeing this clip online when it happened. There's a shadow, but it doesn't move like a normal shadow from a person walking.
No. The source describes it as having a liquid smoothness. It glided. It had that rhythmic gait, almost like a moonwalk, before it passed straight through a solid wall.
Surely people debunk that, said it was a crew member or something.
Skeptics tried. They said it was a crew member's shadow, but the angle of the lighting didn't match, and apparently all the crew members were accounted for in other rooms.
Hmm.
The source argues that Neverland was Michael's fortress. It was the only place he felt he could be himself. It makes a strange kind of sense that his energy would remain there, patrolling the corridors.
From the hallway to the water. This next one it's the most beautiful image in the entire report, but I need you to explain the science because it sounds impossible. Otis Redding.
Lake Monona, Wisconsin, 1967. The site of the plane crash that took Otis way too soon. Now, usually, ghost hunters are using voice recorders in rooms. In this case, researchers were using hydrophones.
Underwater microphones. They're usually listening for whale songs or submarines, right?
Exactly. But instead of water currents, they captured a melody. The whistle, that iconic drifting whistle from the end of Sitting on the Dock of the Bay.
Okay, but physics. You can't whistle underwater. It's physically impossible to push air through lips like that in a liquid medium.
Not physically, no, which is why the researchers were floored. But the recording exists. And what makes it credible to investigators is the cadence. It wasn't a mechanical loop or a radio echo. It included natural pauses for breath.
Pauses for breath.
It sounded like a living performance happening right there beneath the waves.
Sitting on the Dock of the Bay was recorded just days before he died. He never even saw it become a hit.
And that's the poignancy. He's finishing the song in the place where his life ended. It's a creative force that simply refuses to be extinguished by the freezing water.
That is profound. Okay, let's bring it from the stage into the home. We have a section on domestic spirits, and it's a real study in contrast between Red Fox and Marvin Gaye.
Comedy and tragedy.
Let's start with the comedy. Red Fox.
Red Fox is the perfect palate cleanser here.
Yeah.
He died in 1991, famously on the set of his show, The Royal Family. He grabbed his chest, and everyone just laughed because he'd done the "I'm coming to join you, Elizabeth" bit from Sanford and Son 100 times.
The boy who cried wolf. Only this time it was real, but apparently he took the joke with him.
It seems so. The source interviews a man named Jesse Guerin, who bought Red Fox's Las Vegas home. Guerin reports the usual stuff lights flickering, garage doors opening on their own. But then it gets personal. He talks about being in bed and having the blanket tugged right off him.
Just yanked off.
Yanked off. And then, in the dead silence of the bedroom, hearing a raspy cackle.
That is terrifying, but also, I mean, it's kind of on brand, isn't it?
It's interpreted as a prankster spirit. He's not trying to drive you out. He's trying to get a reaction. He's still working the room.
Contrast that with Marvin Gaye. I don't think there's any laughter in that house.
No, Marvin Gaye's death was Shakespearean, killed by his own father in their Los Angeles home on April 1st, 1984.
The terrible story.
The source cites an investigation by a paranormal researcher named Zach Means in 2014. He described the atmosphere in the house as walking through water, just heavy, oppressive.
And he found something.
They used thermal cameras in the bedroom where it happened. They captured a deep purple mass, a cold spot shaped like a broad-shouldered man. But the emotional weight comes from the EVP they recorded. They caught a voice.
What did it say?
A weary sigh, followed by a whisper, "I'm sorry, Dad."
Wow. I'm sorry. The victim apologizing to the shooter, that completely reframes the narrative.
It shows a spirit still carrying this burden of regret. He's not angry, he's heartbroken. There was another moment with the piano in the house. When investigators mentioned the song "What's Going On," a single low note rang out from the piano.
And nobody was touching it.
Nobody. Sensors they had set up confirmed physical pressure on the key. A phantom finger pressing down. It's sorrow versus comedy. It's so different.
Which leads us to our final and honestly most intense category, the search for justice. These aren't just sad spirits. They seem to be trying to correct the record.
Florence Ballard is the prime example, one of the original Supremes. She was pushed out of the group, silenced, and died penniless at 32. The narrative has always been that the industry just chewed her up and spit her out.
So investigators went to her Detroit apartment. They used a device called an Ovilus 5. Now, you need to explain this piece of tech because it sounds like sci-fi.
Sure. An Ovilus is a controversial piece of equipment in the ghost hunting world. The idea is that it measures environmental changes, temperature, electromagnetic fields, and uses an internal database to convert those energy fluctuations into words.
So it's like a digital translator for spirits.
That's the theory. Skeptics would say it's just a random word generator.
But the words it spit out in Florence's apartment were not random.
Not at all. It generated contract, stolen, voice, girls.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Contract and stolen. That is a direct indictment of what happened to her.
It's hard to dismiss as coincidence. The source interprets this as Florence finally reclaiming her narrative. They also captured audio of a high-octave hum in her exact vocal range. She's getting the last word.
Then we have Donny Hathaway, room 1508 at the Essex House Hotel in New York.
This one is dark. Hathaway suffered from severe paranoid schizophrenia. He believed men in white coats were hunting him, trying to steal his music and his brain. And he fell, or jumped, from the 15th floor window.
The haunting here sounds aggressive. Guests report the room's temperature dropping 15 degrees instantly.
Which is usually a sign of a massive energy drain. But the audio is what's terrifying. A soul-piercing scream recorded in the empty hallway. And security monitors have shown a silhouette in a leather jacket standing by the window.
Oh, he's still there.
And the source suggests a disturbing theory here. That maybe the men in white coats Donnie feared weren't just hallucinations. That perhaps he was sensitive to entities that were actually tormenting him. And they are still there, pinning him to that room.
That's a heavy thought. It reframes his whole struggle.
It does.
And finally, we have the Empress, Bessie Smith. This one feels less like a haunting and more like a protest.
Absolutely. Bessie Smith died in 1937 after a car crash. The tragedy is that she was taken to the Afro-American hospital in Clarksdale, which is now the Riverside Hotel, because the white hospitals wouldn't treat her.
And today, people see her there.
They see a tall, regal woman in elegant furs and jewelry, but she doesn't interact. She looks through people. The source calls her a witness.
She's standing guard.
She is. She's not haunting the hotel. She's standing over the memory of the injustice, a reminder of the segregation that likely cost her her life. It connects all three of them, Ballard, Hathaway, Smith. Their spirits remain because the issues haven't been resolved.
The justice was never served.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean? We've got tap-dancing ghosts, whispering victims, warnings from the other side. What's the takeaway?
If we synthesize what Memory Lane is presenting here, the core idea is about energy persistence. The source argues that these spirits are, well, stronger, more persistent forms of the same creative energy these artists held in life.
It's like they were too big for the world to just delete them.
That's a good way to put it. And the source poses a big question. Are we the ones keeping them there? We keep playing their music, we keep watching their movies.
We are the battery.
We might be. Our collective memory acts as a charge, keeping these locations active, keeping these loops spinning.
That is a heavy thought to leave on. The idea that by refusing to let them go, we might actually be keeping them from moving on.
It's possible. The line between a haunting and a memory is thinner than we think. The source leaves us with this unanswered nature of it all.
The whistling underwater that never finishes the song. The tapping on the empty stage with no applause. The whisper for justice that hasn't come yet.
As long as there are loose ends, the energy can't dissipate.
So the next time you hear a song by one of these legends, ask yourself, is that just a recording, or is it an echo of something that's still very much present?
And if you're ever at the intersection of Koval and Flamingo at 3:00 a.m., maybe keep your eyes on the road.
Solid advice. Thanks for taking this trip to the other side with us. We'll see you in the next deep dive.